And here I was thinking a sword and board build couldn't keep up with the meta. This tactical build focuses on precision, power, and punishing crits. The Quality Broadsword is our weapon of choice with its devastating square-off skill that will shatter enemies' poise.
Not to worry, we are still flying half a ship.
We boost our damage, critical damage, defense capabilities, and offensive pressure through methodical combat, and we do it all while looking like a proper knight. This build is calculated and deadly. It's more forgiving than most thanks to the brass shield we'll be using, but still absolutely demolishes the DLC bosses. We have a Lightning Misericorde for juicy critical hits, perfectly chosen talismans which will continuously boost our attack power, and we offset the damage taken with healing. The build is simple but oh so satisfying. It's balanced, fun, and best of all, it doesn't take a lot of complicated mechanics to master. Just your sword, your shield, and a hidden lightning dagger. Thrones will shatter and poise will break. In just a few minutes this build will be yours and your enemies will be kneeling before you. My fellow Tarnished, I give you the Throne Breaker. First up, our weapons. So as I mentioned, we have the Broadsword plus 25 for the quality affinity. It's a belt and braces weapon on the surface, but this thing is going to hit hard. We'll be using the Ash of War square off. The Broadsword is a straight sword and can be found in the following locations. It is the starting weapon for the Confessor class, and it can also be bought from the Nomadic Merchant for 1800 runes. He is located southeast of Coastal Cove, just here on the map. It is upgraded with standard smithing stones to plus 25 and can be buffed with magic and consumables. The Broadsword comes with the square off Ash of War, which is great for breaking enemy stance as it does 40 poise damage. In our main hand switch we have something to take advantage of those poise broken bosses, a Lightning Misericorde dagger plus 25. The boosted crit damage on this is going to deliver devastating blows when our enemies are kneeling before us. The Misericorde dagger can be found in Stormvale Castle. It can be looted off a corpse that can be found in the large armory room, next to the Fortress of the Grafted Scion. You will need to use the Stone Sword key on the imp statue to dispel the white fog that's blocking the doorway. The Misericorde scales primarily with strength and dexterity and is a good weapon for short-range melee combat. This dagger is paired with a quick step skill to help gain an advantage in position. This potentially can avoid damage while providing an opening to follow up with a combo of attacks, but we'll probably just be using this for this build with criticals. It is upgraded with standard smithing stones to plus 25 and can be buffed with magic and consumables. In our offhand, we have the brass shield plus 25, which for me is the best medium overall shield in the game. The blocking is going to come in really handy when rolling is less of an option. The brass shield is dropped by Godric soldiers, Raya Lucaria soldiers, Radahn soldiers or Leyndell soldiers, which are seen carrying this golden shield. You can farm these right at the start of the game in the Gatefront ruins. The brass shield is a medium shield that scales primarily with strength. Although it may not be as light as a small shield, which is good for agility and parrying, this standard shield works best for reducing damage and blocking. It is upgraded with standard smithing stones to plus 25. Then finally in our offhand switch we have the Frenzied Flame Seal, which we don't need to upgrade. This is for two very simple incantations, more on these in a moment.
At this point guys, I really hope you don't mind making my dreams come true by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. If you guys like my content even half as much as I like your comments, then I am one very proud content creator. I started with the Vagabond class and our stats are
Vigor at 60, this is the hard cap for our health, giving us a lot of survivability. Mind at 11, this gives us enough FP to buff with 1 bar, a full bar gives us 10 square off attacks as well. Endurance at 29, this gives us plenty of stamina to dodge, block and attack when we need to. Strength at 58, this is the soft cap for quality scaling. Dexterity at 80, this is the hard cap for quality and lightning scaling. Intelligence at 9, leave this at base. Faith at 25, the perfect amount for our incantations. And Arcane at 7, leave this at base. Right then, let's look at our armor next. We are going to use the complete Rakshasa Armor Set. The Rakshasa Armor Set boosts all damage dealt by the player by 2% for each piece worn, but increases damage taken by the player by 2% for each piece worn. This is reflected in the armor stats, causing it to be a low damage negation set. The set is dropped by Rakshasa in Eastern Nameless Mausoleum. This area can only be accessed by using the ladder in Shadowkeep to get down to a special teleport coffin. Now then, the all-important talismans. We start with our first DLC talisman, Rellana's Cameo. Rellana's Cameo activates when attacking from a held stance. For example, when holding L2 with a skill like Square Off, you will see the buff activate about half a second in, and it gives the special attack a 45% damage boost. This talisman stacks really nicely with the Shard of Alexander for a total of 67% extra attack boost. Rellana's Cameo is located in Castle Ensis, just behind hostile NPC Munithril, lying on an altar. Then we have the Shard of Alexander. This bad boy is going to boost our Square Off attack by 15%, and remember, it will stack with Rellana's Cameo, giving us that 67% extra attack boost. Nice.
The Shard of Alexander will be your reward for completing Iron Fist Alexander's quest line. This quest is easily done by simply exhausting his dialogue after the Radahn boss fight, and then again where he appears in Mount Gelmont near the Magma Worm. When you finally meet him later on in Crumbling Farum Azula, you will duel with him, and the Shard of Alexander will be your reward for defeating him.
Next we have another DLC talisman, the Blade of Mercy. The Blade of Mercy talisman raises attack power after each critical hit for 20 seconds by 20%. So now we are not only rewarded for boosted critical damage thanks to the Misericorde, but all our attacks afterwards are going to hit a lot harder for 20 seconds. This pairs really nicely with the Dagger Talisman. To get the Blade of Mercy, head from the Scorched Ruin Site of Grace, go south down the path. Just a bit after passing under the bridge above, there will be 2 small trees to your left. Then turn west and you will see a small stairway. Go up the 4 steps, then head south up a slight slope to find a stairway to the west. Follow this path around, up some more stairs, north up a small clothed rooftop, and some more stairs up, and then east just across the clothed draped roof of the bridge. Go up the stairs to the north and open the door. Inside is a chest. Open it to find the item. And then finally we have the Dagger Talisman. The Dagger Talisman is going to boost our critical damage by 17%. To get the Dagger Talisman in the Volcano Manor, begin at the Temple of Igle Site of Grace. Turn northeast, exit the temple through the small passageway and ride the elevator up if you have activated it. From here, sprint forward across the walkway, passing by 2 man serpents, into a small room connected to a larger room with a decorative grand staircase. Run up the left stairs and then left again up and along the indoor balcony to find a double imp statue seal. Break it open with 2 stone sword keys and run forward into a cavernous hall with dangling cages. Turn right and slow walk off the broken wooden beam, down to another broken beam and continue through the open doorway. Run through the corridor, run up the staircase and through the doorway to find the corpse containing the talisman. Right, in the Flask of Wondrous Physick we have the Bloodsucking Crack tier. The Bloodsucking Crack tier is a DLC tier that will increase your attack power by 20%, whilst draining your health by 0.2%, plus 20% of your max HP. It works nicely with the Opaline Hard tier to offset the negative effects. The tier can be found in the ruins of Unte. Defeat the Furnace Golem that requires you to throw a hefty furnace pot into its furnace head, and you will get it. And then we have the Opaline Hard tier. The Opaline Hard tier will reduce all damage you take by 15% for 3 minutes. This tier is dropped by the Putrid Avatar next to the Minor Erdtree north of the Fort Fareth in Caelid. Okay, let's look at our incantations and buffs next. We start with Golden Vow. Golden Vow is an Erdtree incantation which boosts our attacks by 15% and our defense by 10%. This is pretty much a no-brainer for any build if you have the faith for it. Then we have Bestial Vitality. Bestial Vitality is a bestial incantation which regenerates 5 HP per second for 120 seconds, healing for a total of 600 HP. Right, now on to the combat. Let's see all this in action. It's a really balanced build that keeps things fun. Just buff up with your incantations and then use your flask before a boss. You are just waiting for an opening in their attacks, and you have the Brass Shield for blocking and a decent roll speed at your disposal. When you see an opening, just hold L2 to go into the Square Off stance. As soon as you see the buff from Rellana's Cameo, use R2, the heavy attack of Square Off, to deliver a powerful blow which will break the stance of most bosses in 2 or 3 hits. When the boss goes down onto their knees, it's time for the critical hit. Swap to the Lightning Misericorde dagger in the main hand and just watch their health bar deplete. Upon delivering this critical hit, the Blade of Mercy Talisman is going to kick in, giving you a 20% attack boost for the next 20 seconds, so there's nothing wrong with getting 1 or 2 swings in with the broadsword before the boss comes at you again. Some bosses can move fast and the openings can be a little harder to get square off in, so just bring some throwing knives or fan daggers to keep the stance damage ticking over if you're not able to keep using square off. You can get into a really nice rotation of increasing attack power whilst preparing square off, delivering boosted critical hits and then starting again with 20% boosted attack power. All that's left now is for you guys to have your say. What do you think of this build? Are you going to try it? What would you do differently? Get in the comments and let me know. I would like to give a huge shout out to Ashen for this awesome build. All the best guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!